World Cup. It's the most popular sporting event in history, but some countries with the highest populations have never even participated. Take India, for example. Population 1.6 billion, finals matches played 0. So in this video, we're giving India and every other country a chance to participate in the World Cup because we're doing a World Cup battle royale, imperialism, whatever you want to call it. And behind me is a map of the world with over 200 countries. And by the end of this video, the nation that can survive the longest will be crowned world champion. So to start, we have to figure out which country is going to go first, which is why we're spinning this wheel. And it lands on Greece. Now, the next thing we have to do is spin the arrow to see which direction they'll be attacking, and it's south. And south of Greece, we've got Libya. And to get a result, we're going to be using FIFA 23. No one's made a patch like this for FC 24 or FC 25 yet. So a huge thanks to Alimps or Alimps. The link to this mod is in the description below. And also, if you want to download my map, you can find it on my website, Ghiellini.shop. Just note that it's a Photoshop file, so you'll need Photoshop installed on your PC. It won't work on mobile devices. Now on FIFA 23, the squads might be a little bit outdated, but we're gonna roll with it, and Greece wins this match 1-0. So now Greece will erase Libya from the map and take over their land. And also Greece will take Libya's best player as a reward. So the 79 rated CDM Musrati becomes Greek, providing a nice 5 overall upgrade to their midfield. So now what we're gonna do next is something you might not have seen before. This is a dice, and we're gonna spin it, and we get 2. This is the number of actions Greece must complete on their turn. So by taking Libya, they've already completed 1 action. So now we'll spin for their next action, which is towards the west. And because it's also slightly north, it's gonna hit Tunisia. So if Greece win this match for completing all their actions, as a bonus, the entire starting 11 will receive a +1 overall upgrade. And Greece wins the match 2-1. So they take over Tunisia as well. The left midfielder Sliti receives his Greek citizenship. And also everybody in the starting 11 goes up by 1 overall. Now because Greece's turn is over, we have to continue with a different country. That's why we're spinning the wheel again. And this time we get Andorra. And if you watch my World Cup imperialism video, you know well what Andorra did in that one. And Andorra knocks out France. What? Now they only have 2 options. They could either face France or Spain. But first, let's get the number of actions that they must complete on their turn. And it's gonna be 3. So the first direction they'll be attacking in is south. Well, southeast to be precise, but in that direction we've got Spain. For reference, this is how the 2 teams are rated. And Spain makes no mistake, they win it 3-0. So that's the end of the road for little Andorra. So now we'll keep going with Spain. And the number of matches Spain has to play will be 2. So now their first direction of attack is south. And over in that direction, we've got Morocco. Morocco is a 4-star side. And they take out Spain on penalties. They were leading the match until Nico Williams scored in the 81st minute as well. Williams scored their first goal, but he missed his penalty. So a huge shocker early on. Spain is taken over by Morocco. This also means Rodri, the Ballon d'Or winner, gets a Moroccan citizenship. Rodri's arrival also makes Morocco a 4.5-star team. Now we'll continue the action with Morocco. So the number of matches they have to play is at least 5. So the second team Morocco has to play is towards the west, and that's Portugal. This is how Cristiano Ronaldo's side will be lining up. And this one goes to penalties as well, but Portugal's the winner. So that's a sad ending for Morocco, but they're in a really tough spot. They've got Portugal, they've got France. Going through Algeria might have been the easiest path, but Portugal takes them out, which now means Rodri becomes a Portuguese citizen. And now the number of matches Portugal will have to play is 5. So they're gonna be attacking south. Now guys, because Gibraltar is such a tiny country, and I've labeled all these tiny countries such as Malta, Gibraltar, all these islands in the Caribbean, this arrow when we go south passes through that label, so we'll count it as hitting Gibraltar. So Portugal will be playing them next, and they win the match 2-0, and we'll position the Portuguese flag over top of Gibraltar. Portugal will not be taking any players from them since no one would benefit. And at this point, you might be thinking maybe we should give Portugal a different boost, but we're not going to be doing that. It's just the luck of the draw. If you beat a really weak team, you don't get a bonus since it was such an easy win. Now, Portugal, just like they've always done historically, they're going to be going across the ocean, drew a straight line through that arrow, and it hit Antigua. So the Portuguese hop on a boat and arrive into the Caribbean to face Antigua, and the match match goes to penalties, but Portugal wins. And now because Portugal's not going to take any players from Antigua, they're attacking west, and straight towards the west we've got St. Kitts and Nevis. Can they pull off a miracle? No, they can't. Next, my recording froze for whatever reason, but Portugal attack Anguilla towards the north, and Portugal make it 5-4-5, which means they've unlocked the +1 overall bonus, so everybody goes up by 1. Now Portugal's turn is over, and the next country we're going to is New Caledonia. So all the way from the Atlantic we move over to the South Pacific, and the number of actions for the island nation is 6. I'm not sure if they're gonna last that long, and the direction they'll be attacking is southwest, which means they have to face Australia. This is how the two sides compare, and Australia wins this match 3-0 as expected. Then again, you never know what the FIFA sim, but we'll move the flag over. Now the number of turns for the Aussies will be 5. So for their second match, Australia is going to be going west, which means they're going to be heading a long way towards Africa. The arrow hits Tanzania. The African nation is only a 1-star side, but Australia wins this one 3-0 as well. And also a 72 rated striker Samatta will receive his Australian citizenship, and Australia's next direction of attack in Africa is north, and north of them slightly east we find Kenya. Kenya has a 2.5-star squad, but Australia wins again 2-0. The 75 rated Victor Wanyama will join Australia. Now for their fourth match, Australia's attacking northwest, and in that direction we've got Uganda, and Australia wins once again, and they won't be taking any players from Uganda as they attack northeast. And over that way we've got Ethiopia. They're one of those highly populated countries that have never played in a World Cup final, and Australia make it 5-4-5. So the entire starting 11 also goes up by 1. Now it's time to switch to a different country, and it's going to be Canada, and the number of matches they have to play is going to be 3. So the first direction of attack for Canada is northeast, and from the flag to that position is Greenland. Now here I thought the Greenland national football team was included in this patch, but they aren't, so we're going to consider Greenland part of Denmark, as the United States haven't officially been able to buy it yet. And this is how the two sides are rated, and Denmark wins the match in extra time. So Denmark will now take over Canada. This now means Alphonso Davies will join Denmark. He provides a nice 8 overall upgrade. Now the number of matches Denmark has to play is 4. Having already played one, their second match will be against the United States. The US men's national team is 4 stars, and they beat Denmark 1-0. They even missed a penalty. So it seems like Donald Trump's wishes are becoming true here as they take Canada and Greenland as well as Denmark. Kasper Schmeichel will be the player to join the United States, and the number of matches they'll have to play is 6. So 5 more to go for the States, and they're attacking south, and in that direction from the flag we find Turks and Caicos. They're only a half-star side, and the US wins it 3-1, and now they'll continue attacking from this position, looks like towards the west, and this one's really serious. They're going to be attacking Cuba. Cuba is rated 2 stars, and the US wins this match, and besides all the trade embargoes, they now take control of the island. So the next direction of attack for the States is southwest, and over that way is the label for the Cayman Islands. It's another 2-1 win for the US, and the next country they'll be attacking is to the south, and it's also slightly west, so the arrow will hit Nicaragua first. Nicaragua's only a half-star side, and the US takes it 2-1 again. So this is the 4th time in a row they win by that score. Oh, and they're not taking any players from Nicaragua, the Cayman Islands, or Cuba, and this is going to be their final attack on this turn, and it's towards the north. And up there we've got Honduras. Honduras has a much better squad, rated 3 stars, but the Americans come out on top again. The US isn't taking any players from Honduras either, but the starting squad gets a +1. All right, now spinning the country wheel, we're going to be continuing with Ivory Coast, and Ivory Coast is in Western Africa across the ocean, and the number of matches they have to complete is only 1. This is the first time a country's gotten 1 from the dice, and they'll be attacking west, and it's slightly north, so this is Guinea's land. Ivory Coast are the favorites in this one, but it's Guinea who wins it 2-1. Jurasi scored both goals, so Ivory Coast are knocked out. They would have received Jurasi plus a +1 overall upgrade for completing their turn, but Guinea says no. So instead it's going to be Kosunu joining Guinea, and the number of matches for Guinea will be 4. So for their second match they'll be attacking northwest, and over that way the arrow goes and hits Mali. Mali are a 4-star side, and they win the match 3-1. Also their newest citizen becomes the 84 rated Jurasi, and Mali's number of matches is 1. Now Mali just beat Guinea. That was their first match, and so so far, whenever a country has defended successfully, I've always counted that defense as their first match. So this means they're super lucky and their starting 11 gets the +1 overall bonus right here. Now, this also means we need to move to a different country, and that country is gonna be Ukraine. And the number of matches they have to play is 2. So it's gonna be interesting if we get anything towards the east. Let's find out where Ukraine is attacking. And it's northeast. And northeast of Ukraine, we've got Russia. There's no messing about. Ukraine and Russia are both 4 stars, but Ukraine are slight favorites. And the war ends with a Russian victory, at least according to FIFA 23. I did not see this coming. I thought Ukraine had it in the bag, but Russia finally takes over Ukraine. And they also get an 84 rated Dovbyk. Now, the number of actions for Russia is going to be 6. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually survive that long. Their direction of attack is southeast. And over in that direction, we've got Georgia. Georgia's rated 3.5 stars. And they take out Russia 1-0. Kvaradona scored the only goal. So the Russian expansion does not last very long as Georgia takes over their land. We'll place the Georgian flag right in the center of the country. Dovbyk, who had just become Russian, now receives Georgian citizenship. And let's see the number of matches Georgia has to play. It's only 2. So having already played one, this is the only other one they'll have to play, and it's towards the southeast. And right from the center of their flag, it's hitting Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan's rated 2 stars. And Georgia wins the match 3-0 with Dovbyk scoring 2 of their goals. So Georgia also takes out Kazakhstan. They also grant citizenship to a 71 rated Kuwait. And the starting 11 gets a +1 for completing their turn. And this makes Georgia a 4-star team. Now let's see which country is going to go next. The wheel lands on Guam. And the direction of attack for Guam is northwest. And drawing a line straight through the arrow, it's hitting China. China are the clear favorites in this match. And they win it easily 3-0. And they're not going to be taking any players from Guam as they get 5 from the dice. So for their second match, China's going to be attacking northwest. And in that direction, it came close to hitting Japan, but they're actually going to be playing against Georgia. And Georgia wins the match 3-0. Dovbyk getting the hat trick. So this is a massive win for Georgia. Look at this. They take over China. I'm going to shift their flag a little bit towards the east. They also get Guam. Wu Lei becomes a Georgian citizen. So it's Georgia's turn again. And this time they have to play a minimum of 6 matches. That's a lot of matches to play. And their direction of attack is northwest. But because there's no one in that direction, we'll spin the arrow again. And this time they get southeast. And the arrow actually misses Mongolia. Georgia have to play Bhutan. And it's an easy 1-0 win. Now Georgia becomes neighbors with India. And since they're not taking any players from Bhutan, their next direction of attack is northwest. And over in that direction, we still find India. Remember, India is the most populated country with 0 World Cup finals matches played. They're rated 1 star, but they go on to lose their first ever World Cup match. Georgia takes it 3-1. India's out. Now the GOAT of Asian football, Chetri, will join Georgia. And Georgia's next direction of attack will be southwest. And over in that direction, they find Mozambique. Mozambique is a decent side, but Georgia win. They're really determined. They enter Africa now, which means they become neighbors with Australia to the north. But guys, this would have been Russia hadn't Georgia taken them out, most likely. Now a huge boost to Georgia as Reynaldo receives citizenship. Now next, Georgia will be attacking southeast. And in that direction, we've got Madagascar. And Georgia says, I like to move it, move it. They'll be giving citizenship to Eli Maharitra. And now for their 6th match in this turn, they're attacking northwest. And I thought it was going to be Australia, but by a hair, it hits Comoros. And just like Mozambique, Comoros have a decent side, but not good enough to beat Georgia. Dovbyk's just been on fire for them. So this is the second time Georgia's been successfully able to complete their turn. And look how much land they have. They're the biggest nation in the world right now. The United States are second, and I believe Australia's number 3. Georgia also grants citizenship to Omari from Comoros. He provides a 1 overall upgrade, and the entire starting 11 receives a +1. So it's time to leave Georgia behind for the second time. The next country we're going to is going to be Singapore. The number of matches they have to play is 4. Their first direction of attack is northeast. And over in that direction, we find the Philippines. Philippines are the favorites, but Singapore win it 3-1. They also get Obermeier from Philippines. And so next, they'll be attacking south. And over in that direction, we've got Indonesia. Now, Indonesia's got a decent defense and midfield. I never realized they had so many players from the Netherlands join their national team. But it's Singapore winning again. The Southeast Asian underdogs take out Indonesia. They also give citizenship to Hilgers. His arrival makes them a one-star team. And now their next direction of attack is northwest. So they'll be attacking their neighbor Malaysia. Malaysia's slightly weaker. And Singapore wins it 3-1 again. They seem to love that scoreline. They also take out Malaysia. Nacho Insa from Malaysia joins Singapore. And now they only have one final match to complete this turn. It's towards the west. Slightly southwest to be precise. And it hits the Seychelles. Seychelles are a half-star team. But they put a stop to Singapore's run. And the tiny African island erases Singapore from the map. They also take the 74 rated Hilgers. And they have to play a minimum of 3 matches. So their next direction of attack will be south. And over in that direction, you have Australia. And Australia win the match 4-2. So that was a pretty short adventure for the Seychelles. And Hilgers now joins his 4th country. And on this turn, Australia will have to play a minimum of 4 matches. So from this position, they'll be attacking north. And straight north of them, you've got Brunei. And Australia win the match 1-0. So the island of Borneo is united. And Australia won't be taking any players from Brunei. They're attacking northwest next. And in that direction, you've got Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is a 1-star team, but I guess we all knew that. And Australia win the match 3-1. Man, Australia's taking over a lot of places. I mean, all the countries in this region are really weak, so no wonder they make it to every single World Cup. No offense, Australians. They're not going to take any players from Vietnam either. Next, they're going northeast. And guys, this sets up the inevitable Australia versus Georgia. Georgia's over here. The winner of this match will have basically half the world. I mean, Georgia already has that. Remember, these are the current ratings for the 2 countries. And Australia comes out on top on penalties. Wow. So Georgia scored late to tie it and send it into extra time. But Australia came out on top against the stronger side. So they take over all this land, including Comoros. We can also clear this border in Africa. Forgot about Hainan, I believe, in China. We can also clear this border. Now we'll put Australia's flag on Comoros because that's where Georgia last was. The Georgian captain Clara will be joining Australia. So now for their final attack in this turn, it's towards the northeast. And over that way, they've hit Thailand. Thailand's a 1.5-star team, but they aren't strong enough for the Aussie train. At the moment, it's steamrolling through everybody, and they take over Thailand as well. We move their flag over top of Thailand, and look how much land Australia have. Now, we still haven't seen any action in South America, but first Australia gets another +1, which makes them a 4-star team. Now, to see if we're finally headed into South America, the wheel gives us the United Arab Emirates. So instead, we're headed to Dubai. That's how most people might know where United Arab Emirates are. The number of matches they have to play is 5, and their first direction of attack will be north. And straight north from the UAE, we've got Iran. Iran are slight favorites, and they win the match in extra time. They will also take the left back Eric, and the number of matches they have to play is 2. So Iran will be attacking southwest. This is a pretty serious match. Saudi Arabia is in that direction. Saudi Arabia are 3.5 stars, and Iran win the match 2-0. They will also get an 80 rated Al Dawsari, and their starting 11 will receive a +1 for completing the turn. Now it's time to move to a different country, and that country is gonna be Argentina. So we're finally heading into South America, where things can get interesting. Lots of good teams near each other. Brazil's right here. Argentina could even play Brazil in their first match, but first let's find out how many matches they have to play at least, and it's gonna be 6. So the first team they have to attack is southeast, but if we go in that direction, there's no one. So spinning the arrow once again, and it's gonna be northeast. And over in that direction, we find Paraguay. This is how Messi's side is lining up, and Paraguay are a decent side, but Argentina win it 3-1. So Argentina win their first match, and now they're much closer neighbors with Brazil. Also, they're not taking any players from Paraguay as they attack southwest. And over that way, the only country that's there is Chile. Chile are also rated 4 stars, and Argentina take this one as well. Also, Messi scored in both matches, by the way. And no players from Chile will join Argentina as they attack southeast. Now, this arrow's super close, but it's hitting Uruguay, not Brazil. I don't want to spoil anything here, but you've probably seen this video and you know the winner. So this match is massive. And Argentina takes it 2-1. Dybala with the winner in the 86th. And Lionel Messi had the other goal. He always scores the opener for Argentina for some reason. Now from this position, Argentina's next match will most likely be Brazil, unless somehow they get this direction and play Bolivia, because going southeast won't really work. There's no one there. But first, Fede Valverde will become Argentinian. And now for their third match, Argentina's attacking northwest. Will this still avoid Brazil? Let's see. Well, it looks like it does, but it's not hitting Bolivia or any other country for that matter. So we'll spin the arrow again, and this time they get southeast. Man, Argentina wants to avoid Brazil at all costs. Look at this. It comes pretty close, but the arrow points towards where the penguins are. Or aren't on my map. So now for the third time, spinning the arrow points northwest, and this time it definitely hits Brazil. This is what the Brazil lineup looks like, and Brazil wins it on penalties. McAllister missed his penalty, everybody else scored. The goals came from Messi and Vinicius Jr. during regulation. But guys, Argentina is out. Brazil wins the match, will shift their flag slightly southwest. Lionel Messi becomes Messinho. He takes his spot in the starting 11 beside Neymar. Now, the number of matches Brazil has to play is going to be 2. So that'll be a quick turn for them. They're attacking northwest, and over in that direction we can find Bolivia. They're a 2.5-star team, and Brazil win the match 4-2. This ends Brazil's turn as the starting 11 gets a +1. And also Brazil didn't take any players from Bolivia as we move to Taiwan. So Taiwan, chances are, is gonna play against Australia. But first, spinning the dice lands on 3. So they'll play at least 3 matches, and it's gonna be towards the southwest. And yes, in that direction you've got Australia, and Australia win the match 2-1. The Tanzanian substitute striker Samatta scored the winner. Now Australia's not taking any players from Taiwan, but I believe this is going to be Australia's third turn, and they have to play at least 5 matches. So a lot of action from Australia early on in this video as they're attacking southwest as well. And in that direction we find Laos, and Australia beat them easily. They won't be taking any players from Laos as they attack southwest again. Well, mostly west, but there's only Myanmar in that direction, and Australia takes them out as well. So it looks like there's only Cambodia remaining in this region. Well, there's also Macau and Hong Kong, but it's gonna be tough to hit them. And I guess I'm forgetting about New Zealand. New Zealand might wait till the end, who knows? And all these island nations as well, they're all just sitting there quietly as Australia goes west. And over in that direction we've got Bangladesh. They're another one of those most populated countries without a World Cup final match, and Australia win this in the final minute with Wanyama. And this will be Australia's 5th match in this turn, and it's towards the southeast. And this arrow barely hits Papua New Guinea. Can they pull off a miracle? No, they can't. So Australia successfully completes this turn, and their starting 11 receives the +1 bonus for the 3rd time in this video. They've gone 14 for 14. They've played the most matches. But the next country we move to is Namibia, and the southwestern coast of Africa hadn't seen much action. Here's Namibia, and the minimum number of matches they have to play is 3, and their first direction of attack is going to be southeast, but it's mostly east, so they're hitting Botswana. The slight favorites on paper are Botswana, but Namibia's the winner in extra time. So the attackers take over Botswana, and they also get the goalkeeper Dembe from them. Now for their second match, Namibia's attacking south, and towards the south is South Africa. And they're a pretty strong side at 3.5 stars, but Namibia takes them out on penalties. So Gift Links joins Namibia, and for their third match, their direction of attack is going to be northwest. And in that direction, we have Angola. Angola are also 3.5 stars, and they win the match 2-0. So that's the end of Namibia's quick fairy tale run. And now Lynx will become Angolan. So for their second match, their direction of attack is going to be northeast. And over in that direction, there's Zambia. Zambia are rated 3 stars, and Angola win it 3-2. So they'll get Zambia's best player, Daka. And for their third match, they'll be attacking northwest. So that's going to be another big match, because in that direction is DR Congo. They're rated 3.5 stars as well, and Congo DR wins it 3-1. They look really strong. I think they're closer to being a 4-star team as they erase Angola from the map here. And also Clinton Mata joins Congo DR. Now the number of matches for Congo DR is 1, so they get lucky and their starting 11 goes up by 1. And now we spin our wheel to get a new country, and it lands on France. Remember, we could have seen France in action near the beginning of the video, but Andorra ended up attacking Spain, which is now controlled by Portugal. So the minimum number of matches for France is going to be 3, and their first direction of attack is south, slightly east, with the arrow in the middle of their flag. it hits Algeria. This is what France's starting 11 looks like. But Algeria totally has a chance. They're a 4-star side. But France wins it 3-2. Benzema got the winner in the 89th minute. So history sort of repeats itself. France takes over Algeria. And they'll also take an 85 rated Mahrez. And now for their second attack, they'll be heading northeast. And anywhere east from their flag hits Greece. And France takes it 1-0. Mbappe scored the only goal in that match. And that's the end of the road for Greece, who opened this video. And France won't be taking any players from Greece. And their final match looks like it'll be against Italy. This is one huge contest. And the win goes to Italy on penalties. Dembele and Marcus Thuram missed their penalties. And just like that, Italy takes out France and takes over all their land. So Kylian Mbappe becomes an Italian citizen. He provides a nice +8 overall boost up front. So now the number of matches Italy has to play at the minimum is going to be 6. So they'll look to take a lot more land around here, and it's towards the southeast. And from the center of their flag, the arrow's hitting Niger, and Italy wins the match 3-1. So for their third match, let's see if they're going to be playing Nigeria. They won't. Instead, they're going to be playing against Portugal. I thought this arrow was going to hit Mali, but it hit Portugal. Last time we saw Portugal in action, they were in the Caribbean. Now, before we sim the match, I just realized I hadn't really updated Portugal's ratings. So Ronaldo was rated much higher. He's currently rated 85 in FC 25, and Portugal had the +1 from completing their turn earlier. So Ronaldo's now 86. Fernandez went up, Diaz went down, Costa joined the team. He's 84. So this is the team that will be facing Italy, and Portugal wins the match 2-1. Vitinha got the winner in the 89th minute. So Portugal stays alive, and they take over all this land. They take out Italy. So Mbappe will now switch to Portugal. Now the number of matches for Portugal is 4. So for their second match in their second turn, they go southeast. And over that way, we've got Chad, not Romania. And just for comparison, here's Romania's flag. The shades of blue and red are slightly different. Anyways, Chad has a 1-star team, and Portugal wins the match 5-1. So they take over Chad, and they won't be taking any players from them as they go south again, and also slightly east, but in that direction it's the Central African Republic. And Portugal win again, and this one will be Portugal's last attack in this turn, and it's towards the southwest. And from the flag, it hits Cameroon. Cameroon is a 4-star team, and Portugal win the match 2-1. So the entire Portuguese starting 11 receives another +1. Now we go back to our wheel to switch countries, and we get Timor-Leste. I don't think we'll have to spin the arrow for Timor-Leste. Actually, they might be able to hit Samoa, so let's just spin it to make it official. And it's Australia. Timor-Leste with the chance of a lifetime, but they fall short as Australia wins it 5-3. What a scoreline though. So Australia takes Timor-Leste. Now every time a country's successfully defended their land, we've moved their flag to kind of be in the center of their whole territory. So I think it's safe to put Australia's flag over China. Australia's not taking any players from Timor-Leste, and now for their fourth turn, they have to play a minimum of 4 matches. So their second match is going to be towards the northeast. So it looks like it's going to be South Korea. The Aussies look to be the favorites, and they win it 4-0. No sweat for Australia. They've now completely surrounded North Korea. They're also getting Heung-min Son, and for their third match, it's going towards North Korea. And Australia carefully take them out. And now for Australia's final match, they didn't take any players from North Korea. They're going south, and it's slightly west. We skip Macau because the arrow hit Cambodia, and Australia have just won their 18th match. Their starting 11 goes up by 1 overall for the 4th time. Now the next country we're moving on to is Gambia. Gambia is this country sandwiched between Senegal. They most likely will play Senegal as we make it official here. Senegal are the clear favorites, and they win it 4-2. Barrow becomes Senegalese, and the minimum number of matches for Senegal is 6. And in their second match, they're going southwest. And to the southwest, we've got Guinea-Bissau. They're a 3-star team, and they beat Senegal 2-1. We hadn't had an upset in a while, I think. So Senegal goes out, and Sadio Mane becomes a Guinea-Bissau citizen. With Mane in the lineup, they're now 3.5 stars, and the number of matches for them is going to be 5. And their next direction of attack is north, and to the north from here is Mauritania. Mauritania is a 2-star country, and the win goes to Guinea-Bissau. 75 rated Koita joins them. Now for their second attack, they're going north. And to the north, you've got Portugal. They were last in Cameroon, if you'll remember. And the winner of this match is Portugal. And because Portugal have successfully defended, we move their flag right in the center of their territory. They're not going to be taking any players from Guinea-Bissau, and the number of matches they have to play this time is 6. So on this turn, their second attack is towards the northwest, and over that way, the arrow hits Greenland, which is part of the United States. So if Portugal win, they'll get the majority of North America. So this is a really big match, and the win goes to Portugal. So we say goodbye to the United States as Portugal takes over half the world. I'll put the flag somewhere over here. An 85 rated Christian Pulisic will join Portugal. It's gonna be really tough to beat Portugal as they head south. And in that direction, the arrow first hits the Dominican Republic. They have a 2-star team, but Portugal keeps on winning. And now for their fourth match, they're attacking east. And over that way, we've got Puerto Rico, but the Portuguese dominance continues. And from Puerto Rico, Portugal will be attacking southeast again. So skipping over all these islands, they've picked out St. Vincent, and they take them out 3-0. And for their final attack in this turn, it's towards the southwest. So the arrow points towards Grenada, and Portugal win their 6th match in a row. The Portuguese starting 11 receives a +1 for completing the turn. Now back to the wheel we go. The next country we're moving on to is going to be the Cook Islands, and they have to play a minimum of 6 matches. And their first direction of attack is northwest. So their excursion will lead them to the Solomon Islands, and Solomon Islands wins this match, and the number of turns for Solomon Islands is going to be 6 as well. But first, the 52 rated best goes to Solomon Islands. So the second team they'll be playing against is towards the west, and west of Solomon Islands is Australia. Australia's won against Solomon Islands 9 times out of 10, and they make it 10 out of 11 here. And now on their 5th turn, the minimum number of matches they have to play is 6. Now if they play against a tough opponent, it could be the end for Australia, but they play Mongolia, it looks like here, and Mongolia is only rated half a star, so Australia wins the match 3-1. The next direction for Australia is east. If we zoom out, you guys can probably tell who it's hitting. It's Japan. That's the only country that's remaining in Eastern Asia. Australia hasn't been able to win against Japan since 2009. Honestly, it's either side. Both teams are so good, but Australia, I think, has a slight edge. And the win goes to Australia. Son wins it. So thanks to our video, Australia gets its first win against Japan in 16 years. The 79 rated center back Ito will join Australia as he provides the best upgrade. And now for their 4th match, Australia's going south, but no one's in that direction. So we'll spin again till it hits a country, and it's towards the southwest. So it looks like we're headed into Africa again. This is Somalia. And despite what it shows on their flag, they're a half-star country, and Australia wins this match as well. So back to Africa goes Australia. And from this spot, since they're not taking any players from Somalia, they're attacking northwest, and the direction of the arrow points towards Eritrea. Eritrea is also really weak, and Australia win this match again, Heung-min Son with the hat-trick in this match. And now to complete the turn, they're attacking west. So straight west of them, it's a country used to war, Sudan, but the Aussie train cannot be stopped. Son has been on fire for them. They take over Sudan, and I believe for the first time, they now share a border with Portugal over to the west. But before moving on, Australia gets yet another +1, which makes them a 4.5-star country. I'm really curious to see who can take them out. I mean, Portugal might be able to, but first, we're gonna keep going with Belarus. I mean, we might see Australia again here because they've surrounded Belarus pretty much. But first, the number of matches for them is 5. And to see if they're attacking Australia, they're not. Straight west from the middle of their flag is Poland. And also this is Australia as well. Poland are the clear favorites, and they win the match 4-2. So Belarus goes out, Poland expands its land. Now it's their turn to attack, and the number of matches they have to play at least is 1. So they actually won't be attacking as their squad gets a +1 bonus here. So instead we're switching to a new country, and that country is going to be Malawi. And we can find them sandwiched between Australia and Congo DR. And the direction they're attacking is west. They're only a 1-star country, and Congo DR wins the match easily. They're not taking any players from this match, and they have to play at least 3 times. So let's see if they play Australia here. It'll be a big one. They are. The arrow points to the northeast. So Congo's looking to take over half the world. Is this the end of the road for Australia? And it's not. They win it on penalties. Australia takes over Congo DR's land. Look how much land they have now. Man, Australia really came to win this one. So with their flag in Eastern Africa, I'm gonna put it over over India. I think this is more central for the whole territory. But first, they'll grant citizenship to an 81 rated Banza. And this is the 6th turn they get, but it's over. They get lucky here as the turn ends immediately and everyone gets a +1. Well, this is the quickest we're leaving Australia behind, but we'll probably see them soon again. The next country is Congo, and they're surrounded by Australia. I mean, who isn't? And the number of matches for Congo will be 6 if they can last that long, and their first direction of attack is west. So they'll first be taking on Gabon. Gabon are favorites on paper, and the win goes to Gabon. Gabon will take Makumbu. The number of matches for Gabon is 1, so they get really lucky as everybody receives a +1. So now spinning the wheel, and we get Jordan. We haven't been in the Middle East much, so here's Jordan, and the number of matches for them will be 5. So their first direction of attack will be west, and I think it's not south enough. It still hits Israel. Israel are favorites on paper, and they win the match 4-1. So Israel with a different path to expansion. They take over Jordan. They also get a 75 rated Al Tamari from them, and the number of matches they have to play is 5. So for their second match, they're heading south and west, so it's towards Egypt. Now Egypt have a 4-star squad, and they win the match 2-1. So they're the ones who erase Israel from the map, and we'll shift the flag slightly northeast. Abu Fani from Israel joins Egypt. Now the number of matches for Egypt will be 3. So for their second match, their direction of attack is northeast. And guys, at first glance, I thought it was going to be Iraq, but they're hitting Iran. This Jordanian part of Iran is in the way. Egypt is slightly stronger, and the win goes to Egypt in extra time. So following Israel, Egypt erases Iran from the map as well. They also get an 82 rated Taremi, and for their final match, they're going to be attacking north. So this time they'll play Iraq. Iraq has a 2-star team, and Egypt keep winning 2-1. So by taking out Iraq, they successfully complete their turn, and all the players in the starting 11 receive a +1. Egypt didn't take any players from Iraq, by the way, and the next country we're going to keep going with is Tajikistan, and they're not too far away in the middle of all these countries, as well as Australia. Australia's everywhere. And the number of matches is 5. So their first attack is going to be towards the north, and it's slightly east, but it still hits Kyrgyzstan. They're both rated half a star, and the win goes to Tajikistan. So they take over their northern neighbors. They'll also grant Murzaev a citizenship. Next, they're going to attack north and slightly east, and in that direction, you've got the massive land of Australia. And Australia wins the match 1-0. They took it really easy on Tajikistan for some reason. Kvara scored the winner in the 88th minute. It's probably best to keep the Australian flag here. They won't be taking any Tajik players, so the number of turns they have is 5 as well. So now the Australian conquest continues. They're going west, and it's slightly south, so we've got Oman over there. Oman's rated 1.5 star, and Australia wins again. And at this point, you would think we're using a rugby simulator or something. They're not going to be taking any players from them, so their next attack is towards the west to Egypt. So this is another tough challenge for Australia. Quick simming it, and it goes to Egypt. Morsi wins it late, and Egypt takes over half the world just like that. They're the ones who erase Australia from the map. So the highest rated Aussie, Kvara, he'll join Egypt. Now, because Egypt was the defending side, we have to centralize their flag before they attack again. So I'll put it over India, and the number of matches for Egypt will be only 2. So if they manage to beat whoever they play against, and it looks like it's going to be Pakistan, this will be Pakistan's first World Cup finals match, and Egypt takes it 3-1, and their starting 11 goes up by 1. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the video's picking up a little bit of pace here as we move over to Belize. So finally we go back to the Americas. Belize is this country over here, and their first direction of attack is towards the southeast. I think Belize tried really hard to get out of this region, but it looks like they've hit St. Lucia first, and the win goes to St. Lucia, and the 64 rated Salazar will join them, and they're gonna have to play at least 2 matches, and their direction of attack is towards Guatemala here. Guatemala is 2 stars, and they win the match 2-1. 67 rated Donasian will join Guatemala, and they'll be playing a minimum of 6 matches. For their second attack, they're heading south, and directly south, slightly west, is El Salvador. They have a slightly weaker team than Guatemala, but they come out on top. So Bukele's country is on the up and up in the sporting department as well. They take over Guatemala, and they'll take a 70 rated Mendez Lang from them. So now Now the number of matches for El Salvador will be 6, and they're going to be attacking north. And north of El Salvador's land, you've got Mexico. Mexico have a really strong team, and they win the match on penalties. The number of turns for Mexico now will be 6 as well. So the direction of attack for Mexico is southeast. I thought they would probably play against Portugal, but it looks like they're going to skip Portugal to play against Ecuador. Now, Ecuador is also a decent side, but the win goes to Mexico. So Mexico take over Ecuador by sea. They also get an 85 rated Caicedo. And now their third direction of attack is north. And over in that direction, we've got Colombia. Colombia are rated 4.5 stars, and they beat Mexico on penalties. The contest seemed pretty even. I think Colombia had one extra shot, but they take over Mexico. So Caicedo will now get a Colombian citizenship. And now the number of matches for them will be 1, which means the starting 11 automatically receives a +1. Not sure what happened to my wheel, but the next country is American Samoa, and they're right next to the non-American Samoa. And their first direction of attack will be the regular Samoa. And the Samoa derby goes to Samoa. And believe it or not, Samoa's not taking any players from the American Samoa, and they get 5 matches, that is, if they even last that long. So in the direction of this arrow, they actually hit New Zealand, and the Kiwis win the match 3-1. So we finally get to see New Zealand in action as well. And the minimum number of matches for them is 6. Since they're not taking any players from Samoa, we spin the arrow. It points towards the southeast, which means it hits French Polynesia. And the winner is New Zealand. We'll just spin the arrow again because New Zealand's not taking any players. It looks like the arrow's hitting Egypt. Now, just to double check, yes, it's skipping Fiji. This is how the two countries are rated. And the win goes to Egypt 4-3. I mean, New Zealand didn't seem to go down without a fight, so they did well, I would say. A 79 rated Wood will join Egypt. And for this turn, Egypt will have to play a minimum of 6 matches. So for its second match, Egypt is going northwest. And the country in that direction is Afghanistan. They're rated 1 star. Egypt wins the match 2-0. Egypt won't be taking any players from them, so they keep going northwest. And the arrow's pointing towards Turkmenistan. And Egypt takes it again 1-0. No players are taken again. And the next direction is southwest. The arrow skips past all the remaining Middle Eastern countries to point towards Portugal. So the vacation's over for Portugal in the Caribbean. They have to come across the ocean to defend their land. This is a ginormous match. The winner will control nearly 80% of the earth. So will it be Portugal or will it be Egypt? And it's gonna be Egypt. Cristiano Ronaldo scored to equalize, but Kvara won it for Egypt. So Egypt stays alive. Portugal gets taken over. Guatemala was trying to be sneaky here, and they're also erased from the map. Now, looking at Egypt's lineup, they could really use a better defender, but Portugal has so many good players to choose from. But I think it's best Egypt takes the highest rated player. So Mbappe receives his Egyptian citizenship. Also, Mbappe improves the squad by half a star. Now, to see where Egypt's going next, it's towards the north and slightly west, and over in that direction, we've got the British Virgin Islands. And Egypt wins. Mbappe scored his first goal in this one. So we'll spin the arrow once again, and this time, Egypt just wants the Virgin Islands. The US Virgin Islands are in that direction, and Egypt wins this match as well. The Egypt starting 11 receives its +1 for completing the turn. Now, the next country we're moving on to is going to be the Faroe Islands, and the minimum number of matches for them is 2. I'm surprised we haven't been in Central Europe all that much, even Northern Europe. Much of it has been left undisturbed as the Faroe Islands are attacking Norway, it seems like. This is how the two countries are rated, and the win goes to Norway. So we're going to keep attacking with Holland's side, Norway. They're not taking any players from the Faroe Islands as the dice gets them 4, and their first direction of attack will be south. And because it's slightly west, they skip past Scotland to hit Ireland. Ireland are 3.5 stars, and they beat Norway on penalties. I thought the much stronger Norway had it in the bag, but Norway are knocked out. Now Erling Haaland will become Irish. His arrival boosts Ireland to 4 stars, and now the minimum number of matches for Ireland is going to be 6. So for their second match, they're going to be attacking south, and from where we place their flag, right in the middle, this arrow points towards Germany. This is what the German lineup looks like, and they take the match 4-0. So the Irish excursion comes to an end as Germany take over their land. We'll move Germany up north. But first, Erling Haaland now becomes German. He gives Germany a +10 overall upgrade at the striker position, and now the minimum number of matches for Germany is 4. So their direction of attack for their second match will be east. So the arrow points straight at the Swedish flag. Sweden's rated 4 stars, and they beat Germany. 2 goals early on for each side, and then Gyökeres won it in extras for Sweden. The deadly the upfront duo of Gyökeres and Isak take out Germany, and Ter Stegen becomes Swedish because he provides a 15 overall upgrade to their goalkeeper position, and the minimum number of matches for Sweden will be 1. So this starting 11 automatically receives a +1, and Sweden's now a 4.5-star team. Now back to the wheel we go. The next country is Benin. The African nation is sandwiched between Nigeria and Togo, so the number of matches they have to play is 6, and their first direction of attack will be northeast. So they're attacking Nigeria. It's a 3-star team versus a 4-star team, and Nigeria wins the match 2-1, and the minimum number of matches for Nigeria is 1. So their starting 11 receives the +1. Now quickly back to the wheel we go, and the next country is gonna be Bosnia. We hadn't touched the Balkans at all, so Bosnia is right here, and the number of matches for them is 2. Last time we did such a video, Bosnia went to the final. Here they're attacking northwest, and in that direction we've got Croatia. Croatia are the favorites of this ex-Yugoslavia derby, and the win goes to them 2-0. So Edin Dzeko will now join Croatia. So far in the video we kept going with the team that successfully defended, but guys, because there are so many countries that we still haven't gotten to yet, every time a country successfully defends, we'll switch to the wheel and pick a new country from the wheel. So we get Ghana. I think because so many countries have such big territories, we keep seeing the same countries over and over, as Ghana gets 5. Ghana's gonna be attacking Burkina Faso. They're the favorites on paper, and they win it 3-2 in extra time. They also get an 82 rated Tapsoba, and their next direction of attack will be north again, and it's slightly east, so it came close to hitting Egypt, but it stayed within the bounds of Mali. This is a very evenly matched contest, and Mali wins it 3-1. That's a huge win for Mali and a tough loss for Ghana. So now the 83 rated party receives his Mali citizenship. Now I've realized something. We used to roll the dice for the defending country, and if they received a 1, they would get a +1 for the entire starting 11, which Mali doesn't receive here. And this spin will be for Croatia, so it's not unfair for them, and they didn't receive the 1 either. So that's how we'll proceed. Now we'll have to switch countries, so we're spinning the wheel, and we get San Marino. The tiny nation nestled inside Italy has been on the rise as of late. You guys probably know them as the worst ranked team in the world, and they can pretty much attack only one country, and that's Egypt. San Marino's rated only half a star, and they failed to win against Egypt. Mbappe scored both goals for them. We won't continue with them, but do they get 1 from the dice? That would be epic, but they don't. So now we move to a new country, and that country is Rwanda. Rwanda's in the center of Africa. They could either play Egypt or Burundi, and it looks like they're gonna be playing Burundi. Burundi are slight favorites, and they win the match 2-1. Year by year, they're usually considered the world's poorest country, but they're better at football than Rwanda, and they'll have to play whoever's around them whenever their turn comes. But first, we'll spin the dice, and they won't get a 1, but they'll get a 64 rated Sahabo from Rwanda. Now spinning the wheel, the next country will be Suriname. The number of matches they have to play is 4, so let's see where they're attacking. They're going south of Suriname. You have Brazil, and the win goes to Brazil. Now will Brazil receive the +1? They won't. So back to the wheel we'll go. Brazil won't take any players from Suriname, and we get Lithuania. Lithuania is just north of Poland here, and the number of matches they have to play at the minimum is 2, so that's pretty good for them. And they're attacking north, so they'll play against Latvia. The two sides are very evenly matched up, and the win goes to Latvia. Even though they were down to 10 men in the 43rd minute, they managed to take out their southern neighbors, and they also get a 69 rated Utkus. So we go to the wheel spin for a new country, and that country's Curacao. Curaçao's right here north of Venezuela, and the minimum number of matches for them will be 2. So their first direction of attack is going to be northwest, and the arrow goes through Aruba. Curacao are clear favorites, and they win 2-1. And for their second and final attack, they're heading south to face Venezuela. Venezuela have a 3.5-star team, and they win the match 3-1. And the dice lands on 1, so their starting 11 receives the bonus +1. Alright, if you've been patiently waiting for your country, maybe it's Swaziland, or with their current name, Eswatini, they can only play against Egypt, so no sweat here for the half-star country, and they lose. Egypt doesn't get its +1, so we'll spin the wheel again, and the next country will be Qatar. So up north we go. Qatar could play against Egypt or Bahrain, and they'll be attacking northwest. So it seems like they managed to hit Bahrain, and Bahrain wins the match. Bahrain was 2 stars, Qatar was 3 stars. They were the underdogs, and they win. So they will gladly take a 78 rated Afif, and to see whether they receive a bonus, they don't. So now the next country out of the wheel will be Lesotho. Just like Eswatini, they can only play against Egypt, so we wish them good luck, but Egypt's just too strong. So off to our next country we go, and and that's Belgium. So here we have a chance to see England maybe for the first time, or the Netherlands. But first, let's see how many matches they have to play, and it's 6. So their first direction of attack is north. They'll face the Netherlands. Netherlands are the stronger side on paper, but the win goes to Belgium on penalties. Belgium takes over Netherlands. They will also give citizenship to Van Dijk. He provides a much needed boost to their back line. So now with Van Dijk on their side, Belgium's attacking south, well, southwest to be precise. And over in that direction, we find France, which is controlled by Egypt. So this really could be the end of the Egyptian Empire. They have a really tough opponent in front of them, quick simming the match, and Egypt comes out on top again. Marmoush, the new Manchester City signing, won it for Egypt. Van Dijk was one of the worst players for Belgium. So in unbelievable fashion, Egypt are still in. They take over Belgium and the Netherlands. So Thibaut Courtois will now become Egyptian. Now we spin the dice to see if it lands on one, and it doesn't. So we go back to the wheel and we get Kuwait. And they'll most likely be attacking Egypt unless they get the perfect arrow to hit Bahrain. I'm not going to roll the dice for them. We'll roll it if they beat Egypt because they get south. Kuwait's a 2-star team and Egypt win it 5-2. So that's the end of the road for Kuwait. They came, they saw Egypt, and they went. And Egypt doesn't receive a bonus. Back to the wheel, the next country will be Luxembourg, and they're either going to be playing Sweden to the right or Egypt to the left. So again, initially we're not rolling the dice, and they're playing Egypt. They're 2.5 stars, and once again Egypt wins. Does Egypt receive its +1 upgrade here? And they will. But first they'll also be taking a 76 rated Barreiro Martins, and now the starting 11 will receive the +1 bonus. So spinning the wheel again, and this time we're going to Panama. We'll let them play their first match, and it's towards the southeast. So they're going to be facing Colombia. Panama's rated 3 stars, but Colombia's just too strong. So I've just realized not rolling the dice initially is actually better. It saves us some time. Now, does Colombia get a +1? It lands on 4, so they don't. They're not taking any players from Panama, so we spin the wheel again, and we get Tonga. Now, Tonga is one of these islands in the South Pacific, and they're going to be attacking south, which means they're facing Egypt. They're only a half-star country, and it's the Egyptian king Mohammed Salah winning it for Egypt. Only Fiji and Vanuatu remain in the region. Rolling the dice for Egypt, and they don't get an upgrade. But spinning the wheel, our next country will finally be England, and England can pretty much play Wales, Scotland, Egypt, and Sweden. We'll roll the dice for England, and the minimum number of matches will be 4, and their first direction of attack will be southeast. So England's gonna be taking on Egypt. It's go big or go home for the 3 Lions. This is what the starting lineup for England looks like. I would say this is the biggest moment in the video so far. Will it be England or will it be Egypt? Quick simming it, and it goes to Egypt in the last minute. Alexander-Arnold put England up by 1, then Taremi scored to equalize, and then Marmoush won it for Egypt in the last minute. They take over England. So Jude Bellingham's the one to receive Egyptian citizenship, and his arrival makes Egypt a 5-star country. I'm not sure how we got to this point, but I think Egypt harnessed the power of the pyramids somehow, and they're putting together the football version of the Avengers. I mean, look at this squad. Mbappe, Bellingham, Mo Salah, Kvara, Courtois. Well, now let's see if they receive a +1 bonus on top of it, and they won't. So instead, we'll move to a new country that's probably gonna face Egypt, and that's Estonia. Estonia actually have a few options apart from Egypt, and their direction of attack is southeast, so they'll have to face Latvia. It got close to Egypt, but it's hitting Latvia. Estonia are a 2-star side, and they beat Latvia 3-2, so we're gonna have to roll the dice for Estonia. But first, they'll get the 69 rated Utkus, and the roll of the dice shows 5, so Estonia has to play at least 5 matches if they survive that long. Now they're heading north to face Finland. Finland have a much better 3.5-star squad, and they win the match 2-0. Now Finland doesn't need any players from Estonia, and they don't get the +1 bonus, so we spin the wheel again, and it gives us Slovakia. Slovakia is right here, sandwiched between Czech Republic, Hungary, and Egypt. We'll let them attack first, so they're going southwest to be precise, but they still hit Hungary. Both teams are pretty even on paper, and the win goes to Hungary. They will take Lobotka from Slovakia, and from the dice they don't get 1, so it's time to spin for a new country, and that country's Wales. Wales have a few options for attack, and they're attacking northwest, so the arrow points towards Ireland, which is controlled by Sweden. Wales are only 3.5 stars, and Sweden takes it 3-2, Kulusevski getting the hat trick. They'll take the 79 rated Ben Johnson, and they don't receive the +1. So back to the wheel we go, and the next country will be Switzerland. So near the end of the video, Europe's been getting a lot of action. Switzerland will be attacking east. They perfectly managed to hit Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein recently lost to San Marino, and they lose to Switzerland as expected. Now let's roll the dice to see how many matches Switzerland has to play at the minimum, and it's 2. So since they're not taking any players from Liechtenstein, they're attacking southeast. And guys, southeast of Switzerland is Egypt, of course. Now, will the Swiss be able to stop Egypt? They won't. Egypt takes it 4-0. Salah with the hat trick. So that's another victim for pyramid power. And because Egypt will benefit most from a center back, Akanji joins them. And also to see whether they get a +1 upgrade. They don't. And the next country we're going to is Iceland. Iceland could pretty much attack anybody. Let's see where the arrow will point, and it'll point southwest. And guys, this is unbelievable. Just to make sure I zoomed in all the way, drew this line straight through the center of the arrow. They could have gone slightly west or east, and they would have played against Brazil. I mean, Brazil are also pretty good, but they hit Egypt instead. So Iceland is 3.5 stars, and Egypt scores 4 again. So yet another successful defense for the Egyptians. They'll give citizenship to an 80 rated Gudmundsson, and the dice gets us 4, so they don't receive the +1. And at this point, everyone who's not rooting for Egypt is saying thank goodness, as we get Liberia here. And Liberia's direction of attack will be northwest. Best case scenario would have been to attack Sierra Leone, but the arrow hits Mali. Liberia is a 2-star country, and they lose to Mali on penalties. So the 78 rated Dorley joins Mali. So spinning the dice gives us 2, which means we now go to the wheel to move to Mauritius. They're an island in the Indian Ocean, and their direction of attack will be north. And north of them is an Egyptian island. So that's the end of the road for Mauritius. They did manage to score 2 goals and missed a penalty, but the Egyptian dominance continues. So back to the wheel, we get Uzbekistan. And I believe the only country they can also face is Egypt. They're surrounded by Egypt. The Uzbeks have a 2.5 star team, but Egypt wins yet again. So they get another new Man City signing, Kusanov, and from the dice, they get 6. So the next country we move on to will be Serbia. Serbia have a lot of countries around them. We'll spin the arrow first, and they'll be attacking Croatia. This is a very evenly matched contest. Now, which one of these two can reunite Yugoslavia? And it's Serbia in extra time. It was the Bosnian Dzeko sending it into extra time for Croatia, and then Vlahovic and Mitrovic finished it off for Serbia. So Croatia gets erased. Serbia takes over. Now let's roll the dice to see how many more matches Serbia will have to play, and they get a 1. But first, Luka Modric will become Serbian, and now the starting 11 will receive the +1 bonus. Now back to the wheel we go for a new country, and we stay in the region. It's Albania, and the direction they'll be attacking is northwest. So from the center of their flag, the arrow actually hits Serbia. It skips past Montenegro. Albania are 3.5 stars, but not strong enough to beat Serbia. So sneaking around Montenegro, Serbia take over Albania's land. They also take Jimciti from them, and rolling the dice got a 6. So no bonus for Serbia this time. The next country is Macedonia. We don't really have to go anywhere, and Macedonia will be attacking south, and in that direction, Greece is controlled by Egypt. Macedonia is a 3-star side, and Egypt wins the match even though they were down to 10 men in the 62nd minute. So Elmas will be the latest player to join Egypt, and the Egyptians won't receive the +1. So off to a new country we go, and it's Kosovo. The wheel certainly wants to clear off this section. Kosovo's right here, and the direction they'll be attacking is north. So this one's intense. It's against Serbia. This is how Kosovo's rated, and Serbia wins the match 2-1. So Serbia pretty much get what they want as they take over Kosovo's land. They also get Rahmani from Kosovo, and Serbia won't get the +1. So the next country we're off to is Montserrat. They're one of the few remaining Caribbean islands, and they're gonna be attacking southeast. So the arrow does point towards Dominica's label. Montserrat's slightly stronger, and they win the match. So we'll move the label and the flag. And now to see how many matches they're playing, it's gonna land on 5. They're not taking any players from Dominica, so they'll be attacking southwest. And towards the southwest, we've got Venezuela, and the win goes to Venezuela. Venezuela's not taking any players from them, and they're not getting the bonus. So our next country from the wheel will be Northern Mariana Islands, and they're all the way out here, right next to Egypt. They can't go north, they can't go east, they have to go west or south, so northwest. But no matter how hard they try, Egypt is over there as well. Now, can you guys just imagine if this country pulls it off? I mean, I don't think they would last that long, but let's sim it, and Egypt wins it 2-1. So no more are the Northern Mariana Islands. I wonder if my channel even has a view from the Northern Mariana Islands, as Egypt gets 4, so they don't get the bonus. And by the way, you can tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Montenegro's next, so they're pretty much stuck between Serbia and Egypt, and the arrow points towards northwest, mostly west, and that's gonna be Serbia. Montenegro's 3.5 stars, and Serbia takes the match on penalties. Once these two nations were united, now they've been reunited by Serbia. So an 81 rated Savic joins Serbia, and following this match, Serbia doesn't receive a bonus. The wheel gives us South Sudan, and they're completely surrounded by Egypt, and Egypt wins as expected. Egypt have so many chances of getting a +1 because they play so many matches, but they don't get it here. So moving on, the next country is Turkey. I think they're the strongest side that hasn't played yet. We'll first roll the dice for them. The number of matches they must play at the minimum is 3. So there's a lot of countries around them, and their first direction of attack will be southeast, and it looks like straight from the center of their flag that's hitting Syria. This is how the two countries are rated, and the win goes to Turkey, and they're not taking any players from Syria. The next direction is northwest, and over in that direction the arrow's pointing towards Bulgaria. Bulgaria are 2.5 stars, and Turkey wins the match 5-1, and they're not taking any players from Bulgaria. They're going northwest to take on Romania this time. Romania are rated 3.5 stars, and Turkey wins this match 2-0. So they've successfully completed this turn, winning all 3 matches. So this starting 11 now receives a +1, and they now go to 4.5 stars. It had been a while since an attacking country actually got a +1. Next is Djibouti, and Djibouti actually has 2 options. So their direction of attack will be Egypt, and Egypt takes them out 3-0. The dice stops on 4, so back to the wheel we go, and next up is Haiti. So they can attack Jamaica or Egypt or Venezuela. The arrow's pointing towards them. Haiti have a 2.5 star team, but the stronger Venezuela side takes it. Now Venezuela's not taking any players from Haiti, and they don't get a 1, so we spin the wheel again, and the next country will be Maldives. They're in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and their direction of attack will be northeast. I think they were aiming for Sri Lanka, but they've hit Egypt, so they go out. The roll of the dice stays on 6, which means now the next country will be Cape Verde, and Cape Verde is going to be attacking west. And are we surprised? In that direction we find Egypt. Cape Verde have a decent 3.5 star side, but not good enough to beat Egypt. They came really close though. They sent it into extra time late. They were ahead in extra time, and then Egypt said enough's enough. Now, will Egypt get an upgrade from this match? They won't. So now the next country is Barbados, and the Caribbean island will be attacking south, and directly south of them is Guyana. Guyana are the stronger side, and they win the match, and the dice will land on 6, so that means no bonus, and no players were good enough from Barbados, as we get Vanuatu, and Vanuatu is one of those South Pacific islands that still remain, and their direction of attack will be towards the west, so that's Egypt, which means it's another win for Egypt. Does Egypt receive a +1 from this win? And they don't. So the next country will be Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's got options: Egypt or Macau, and they choose, looks like Macau, because it's hitting the label. I'm surprised Macau even has a team being this badly rated, and they lose to Hong Kong. Let's see if they get to attack again, and they do. So the only other option for Hong Kong is basically Egypt, and Egypt wins this match 1-0. Egypt's not taking any players from Hong Kong, and it lands on 2. So the next country to attack will be Peru, and Peru pretty much have 2 options, either Brazil or Colombia, and they choose, looks like Colombia. Peru are rated 3.5 stars, but they lose to Colombia on penalties. So Colombia will take a 79 rated Tapia, and Colombia's squad does not receive an upgrade. Now next up from the wheel, there's only 27 countries we haven't gone to, and it's Sao Tome and Principe. They're an island nation down here in Africa, and their direction of attack will be northwest, which means they'll be playing Nigeria and losing to Nigeria. Nigeria won't be taking any players, but they'll get an upgrade. So this starting 11 goes up by 1 overall, and we'll spin for our next country, which will be Jamaica, and Jamaica will be attacking west and north for that matter, and they hit Egypt. Jamaica are 3.5 stars, but again not strong enough to beat Egypt. Leon Bailey gets an Egyptian citizenship, so Egypt won't be getting an upgrade. Now my recording stopped for a second when the wheel was spinning, but it's Nepal, and they can only attack Egypt, and they can also lose to Egypt. Mbappe with yet another hat trick, and the dice won't land on 1, so we move on to a different country, and that country is gonna be Azerbaijan. And they have two options, either Armenia or Egypt. And it seems like they chose the easier option, their arch nemesis Armenia. Armenia have a slight edge on paper, but it's Azerbaijan winning it 4-1. That's a big win for them. So the Azerbaijani flag moves west. Now the minimum number of matches for Azerbaijan is 6. But first they'll take an 83 rated Mkhitaryan. So for their second match, they'll be attacking north, and that's gonna be Egypt. And Egypt win the match 2-1, Salah scoring both goals. So Mkhitaryan's journey will continue as an Egyptian. And will Egypt be receiving an upgrade? They won't. So now the next country to attack will be Lebanon, and their direction of attack will be northwest. So they're gonna be attacking Cyprus. Cyprus are the stronger side, and they beat Lebanon. They won't be taking any Lebanese players, they're not good enough, and they get 4. There's only 18 countries that haven't seen any action, and Zimbabwe is one of them. And the only action they can see at this point is a match against Egypt. They do have a 3-star rated team, but not good enough to get a win. So Zimbabwe also go out to Egypt. The dice rolls to 3, and next we're going to Scotland. Scotland can either play Sweden, Northern Ireland, or Egypt, of course. So their first direction of attack is northwest. So in that direction, you see Iceland controlled by Egypt. This is how Scotland are rated, and they're here to tell Egypt that they may take their lives, but they'll never take their freedom. And their lives it was. Egypt wins. I thought with the Braveheart quotes, Scotland might have a chance, but they're out. And this also means Egypt gets stronger by taking Robertson, because he provides a +9 overall upgrade to the left back position. So at this point, it's the world against Egypt, as they get 2 from the dice, so they don't get an upgrade. And the next country we move on to is Fiji, and they pretty much have to play Egypt, and they also lose to Egypt. And it's Moldova this time. They're stuck between Turkey and Egypt, and their direction of attack is south, and it's slightly west, so they're choosing to attack Turkey. They're a 2-star country, and they lose the match 3-1. Turkey's not taking any players from Moldova. They're not good enough, and they'll get 3. And the next country to go will be Czech Republic. Czech Republic can play Poland or Sweden, and they choose to play Sweden. I shouldn't say choose, because this is based on pure luck. This is how the two countries are rated, and a 5-2 win goes to Sweden. Isak and Gyökeres with 2 goals apiece. So a 79 rated Krejci will join Sweden. And do they get an upgrade? They don't. So only 13 countries we haven't been to, and Palestine is one of them. They can only attack Egypt from their flag. They're rated 1.5 star, and they lose 4-1. Egypt's not taking any players from Palestine, and they get a 4. And the next country will be Sri Lanka, and I think it's impossible to hit Yemen, but let's just make sure. And they're attacking north, and they lose 2-1. The dice lands on 3, and Austria's next. They do have a few options, and they're going to be attacking south. And I think this arrow points towards Slovenia first. We've seen enough of Egypt. Austria is rated slightly higher, and it's Austria that win it on penalties. They improve their worst rated position with Oblak. His addition to the starting 11 makes Austria a 4.5 star team, and now rolling the dice gets us 4. Now their next direction of attack is going to be northeast, so it's a match against Hungary, and Austria win this match as well. So they now improve their defense by taking Orban. Now for their third match, they're going northeast, and in that direction we find Poland. Austria's the slightly stronger side, and they win their third match in a row on penalties. Austria's on a roll here. We move their flag where Poland's flag used to be. It's Robert Lewandowski who joins Austria now. And now for their fourth and final match, Austria's attacking west, slightly north, and it's north enough to hit Finland, where they successfully complete their turn. And they're not going to be taking any Finnish players. Now I'm going to make our lives easier and color Austria in gray. Maybe we do gold for Serbia. So the Austrian squad receives its +1 for completing their turn. So next we go back to the wheel, and the next country will be Bermuda. We find Bermuda in the Atlantic Ocean, and their direction of attack will be south, and the arrow hits a Venezuela label, and Venezuela knocked them out. Now I've changed Venezuela's color to blue. Will they receive an upgrade? The dice lands on 3, so they're not receiving the upgrade as we spin for a new country, and that's Sierra Leone. So they'll probably play against Mali, or they could go across the ocean and play Brazil. So spinning the arrow, they're going to play against Brazil, and Brazil wins the match 1-0. So Brazil won't get an upgrade as the dice landed on 5, which means one of the final 7 countries we haven't seen yet will be featured, and it's Malta. And Malta could possibly play against Serbia going this way, but every other direction will be Egypt. And would you look at that, it could be Serbia. That is just unbelievable. It does hit Serbia, and Serbia wins the match 4-2. And will Serbia get a +1? They won't. So the next team is going to be Equatorial Guinea, and they're going to be attacking south. This is Equatorial Guinea Guinea, by the way. They're playing Gabon. Equatorial Guinea is a 2.5-star side, and it's Gabon winning the match on penalties. So Coco will join Gabon, and this is the upgrade dice for Gabon, and they won't get it. Now, the next country we move on to is Bahamas, and their direction of attack will be northeast. So if we zoom out, they hit Egypt, and they lose to Egypt. And the number of matches for Egypt is 6, so they don't get an upgrade. Quickly back to the wheel we go. It's Trinidad Tobago, so we just head a little bit south, and they're gonna be attacking northwest, and it looks like no matter where you go, you hit Egypt, and Egypt wins the match 2-0. So many chances for an upgrade for Egypt, but they don't get it here. So now the next country we hadn't been to is Costa Rica, so we stay in the region. So Costa Rica will be attacking southeast, and I would say that's enough to hit Colombia, and the win goes to Colombia. Man, the Costa Rican squad has aged immensely. They used to be way better 2 years ago, so Colombia won't be taking any players from them as they get 5, which means no upgrade. So we go to Togo. Togo sandwiched between Mali and Nigeria, so they're gonna be attacking Mali. Togo have a 3.5-star rated squad, but they lose to the stronger Mali. Mali will take Jenna from Togo, and from the dice they land on 5. So we move on to Yemen. They're the final country that we haven't seen, and they can only play against Egypt. They're only rated 0.5 star, and Egypt wins the match 2-1 with a late goal from Marmoush. So the award for best at hide and seek goes to Yemen. They're out. Now, does Egypt get an upgrade from this win? They don't. All right, after having had every single country be involved in the video so far, these are basically the finalists. Actually, wait a minute. Northern Ireland hasn't played a match. They're the real champions at hide and seek. I realized the list of countries I used to create the wheel had United Kingdom rather than Northern Ireland, Wales, England. I guess I forgot to include Northern Ireland in there. So let's let them have a go first. And they're going to be attacking Sweden. They're rated 3 stars, and they lose the match 3-1 to a 10-man Sweden. So Sweden reunites the island. They also grab a better right back in Bradley. And lastly, do they receive the +1 overall upgrade? They don't. So on to our new 15-country wheel we go, which means Northern Ireland finished 16th, and we're gonna spin this only once. We get Turkey, and the minimum number of matches for Turkey will be 6. So we'll go back to doing things the way we were doing in the beginning of the video. Turkey's attacking south, so they're going straight for the kill. Egypt is there. Will Turkey be the ones to dethrone Egypt? They won't. 4-2, Egypt win. Egypt's gotten just way too strong. They take out Turkey, and they take an 87 rated Çalhanoğlu. Now we roll the dice for Egypt, and this is the minimum number of matches they'll have to play, and it's 6. So let's see if they can clear half the world. They're attacking west. This is where things will get intense. West of Egypt's flag is Mali. Just look at how insane that Egypt squad looks. Can Mali knock them out? Simming it, and Egypt win it again, 4-2. Marmoush with the hat trick. Gerasi will join Egypt as a backup striker. Now, for their third attack, Egypt is going northeast, and in that direction, there's Cyprus, and Egypt takes them out 3-1, and they won't be taking any players from Cyprus. Now, if Egypt get east, we'll play Bahrain. If they get straight south, we'll play Burundi, because otherwise, Bahrain will probably go to the final by just hiding over there. So let's spin the arrow. East is Bahrain, and we get east. And Egypt win the match 5-0. I think that's the biggest margin of victory in this video so far. Now, for its 5th attack, if Egypt goes anywhere where there's no country, they'll be playing Burundi. So spinning the arrow, and it points towards the southwest. So they won't be playing Burundi. Line through the arrow, and instead they'll be playing Guyana. And they also win this match. So they come all the way to South America, and for their final attack of this turn, they're going northwest, and that looks like it's hitting Venezuela. Can the South Americans shock the world? They can't. Even after they went down to 10 men, they scored 2 more. I mean, that's the beauty of these videos. Who would have thought at the beginning of the video that Egypt would make it this far and get this strong? And they still keep getting stronger by taking Yangel Herrera. And that's not all. This starting 11 receives a +1. Now we have to spin the wheel to get a new country, and from this point on, I'm just gonna keep spinning the wheel. Each country will just play 1 match. So we got Sweden, and they're gonna be attacking northeast. So so it looks like Austria, and the winning side will receive a +1 to their starting 11 because this is the final 8 basically. So instead of leaving it to chance by rolling the dice, we'll just give every country that wins from this point on a +1. Now these two teams have a very similar rating, and the win will go to Austria. Lewandowski wins it for them. Svanberg scored, but he left his team with 10 men, so Austria takes over Sweden's land. They will also not be taking Isak or Gyökeres, but Kulusevski instead, because they really needed an upgrade on the right side. So this starting 11 receives a +1. So now the next country to attack will be Nigeria, and Nigeria's direction of attack will be northeast. So it's go big or go home for the Super Eagles. And by the way, why is the national team called the Super Eagles for Nigeria? I mean, Egypt's logo has an eagle on it. I would understand if they were called the Super Eagles. Let me know in the comments. This will be Egypt's 45th match. Can Nigeria take them out? Simming it, and Egypt win it 4-0. Nigeria went down to 10 men early on. So Egypt now get Osimhen. He provides an upgrade over Marmoush in the starting 11, and this starting 11 receives another +1. So now next up we have Colombia attacking, and they pretty much have two options, and they're going southeast, and it's south enough, so it's gonna hit Brazil. This is the 5th match for either side, and the win goes to Brazil. Messi scored 2, and Rodrigo got the first one, so Brazil knocks out Colombia. They also take Caicedo, and the starting 11 receives a +1. Now the next team to attack will be Gabon, and they're gonna be attacking west. So they're heading across the ocean to face Brazil. Egypt was their only other choice, and Brazil takes the match 3-2 with a late winner from Messi. So Aubameyang becomes Obinho, and the starting 11 receives another +1. So now the next country to attack will be Austria, and they have two options. It's Serbia or Egypt, and looks like Egypt it is. Can the Austrians do it? No, they can't. Osimhen scores 2 goals for his new country. Lewandowski with Austria's goal, and we say goodbye to Austria as well. Egypt will take David Alaba, and they get another +1. And we are now down to the final 4. The next country to attack will be Burundi, and they can only attack Egypt. The world's poorest country has made it into the final 4, and they lose 4-1. So Burundi is out. The last African nation other than Egypt is gone. And of course, Egypt is reaching insane levels with another +1. And Kvaratskhelia becomes the first player to reach 99 overall. I'll just place Egypt's flag in the middle so it looks better. So this is what the final 3 look like. Serbia up here with the least amount of territory. They basically reunited Yugoslavia. So I'm shuffling the wheel here and spinning it. Let's see who's attacking. Is it Egypt or Serbia? It lands on Serbia. It would have been a shame if it landed on Brazil because they would have had to play Egypt. Egypt might have had a chance to play against Serbia, but Serbia can only play against Egypt. They're surrounded on all directions. I mean, how crazy would it be for Egypt to choke right now, right before a Brazil-Egypt final? Is Serbia ruining their party? Simming it, and Egypt wins it. Sometimes FIFA gives you crazy results, but we don't get any here for Egypt. Egypt endured through every single country. They harnessed their ancient Egyptian civilization power to set up this final. Brazil versus Egypt. But before we see the final, Modric joins Egypt, and Egypt receive a final +1. I've also switched their formation to a 3-5-2 so Luka Modric could provide a huge boost over Hamdi, who would have been playing in the starting 11. Now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. On one side, you have a country that's harnessed the power of its ancient past and built one incredible team. And on the other side, you have a nation that lives and breathes football 24/7, 365 days of the year. Who will win? It's time to find out. Brazil came out guns blazing with Vini Jr. finding Neymar, who first timed it past Courtois to make it 1-0. Then Egypt nearly had a response with Osimhen, but Alisson made a huge save. However, on the corner kick, Mohamed Salah's dribbling froze all of Brazil's defense, and Mbappe tapped on the equalizer. Then in the 32nd minute, after giving the ball away, Salah fouled Neymar, but the ref let play go on. And ultimately, Rodrigo played a through ball to Bruno Guimaraes, who put Brazil up by a goal once again. Shortly following the kickoff, Vini Jr. retaliated against Salah for his foul on Neymar and was shown a yellow, and I think he was very lucky not to be sent off. Brazil came close to taking a 2-goal lead with Bruno Guimaraes once again being involved, but Thibaut Courtois made a good save. Then right before the halftime whistle, Kvaratskhelia found Salah across the field with a great pass. The Egyptian king then cut inside and saw the run of Mbappe, who scored to level the scoreline as the first half came to a close. Brazil came out firing in the second half, but neither Vini Jr. nor Leo Messi could put the ball past Courtois. And then in a shocking move, the Brazil coach decided to sub off Messi for Douglas Luiz. Then in the 72nd minute, the Brazil defense made an absolute mess of Kvaratskhelia block shot as the ball fell back to the Georgian, Australian, Egyptian winger, and he made the South Americans pay a huge price by scoring it to make it 3-2 for Egypt. That was an absolute mess by the Brazilian defense. However, this match was far from being over as this happened 10 minutes later. Now, Vini Jr. in the box finds Bruno, who finds Moises Caicedo, and that goes in! Courtois saves it at first, and then the ball bounces, hits the post, and goes in. So it's all tied up. Will we have extra time here? And yes, extra time we'll have as the ref blows the final whistle while Brazil's on the attack. And the Brazil fans aren't happy. They're booing the ref. Here's a quick listen to the Brazil broadcast. Alright, it's the first attack in extra time. Mohamed Salah to Osimhen, to Hakan Çalhanoğlu, to Osimhen again. Osimhen could have shot, but he left it for Mbappe, and Mbappe, what a strike! That goes in. Kylian Mbappe gets a hat-trick. And at this point, the Egypt crowd couldn't wait for the final whistle to blow, but there still was 7 minutes left to go. Here comes the corner kick, played short to Salah. Salah cut inside, past his defender, looking for options. He finds Marmoush, who finds the back of the net. That's surely gotta be the nail in the coffin for Brazil. And there goes the final whistle, and Egypt are the winners of the Ultimate World Cup. It really seemed destined to happen. They were the Avengers of world football. The combination of Real Madrid, Liverpool, Manchester City, and a couple of former Napoli players in Osimhen and Kvara. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to watch this video as well. Don't forget the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and yes, I did get a haircut in between. And yes, I did watch this a few times during the almost 2 weeks of filming this video. All right, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.